Hello, this is the tutorial video just on tile manipulation and part manipulation within Scalcast Building Designer. Okay, so all I've got here is a working grid, which you'll become familiar with, and one single part on here. Okay, we can click anywhere around the part itself. We can click and hold, and we can just drag it around on the grid however we like. Okay, so if we just revolve around here, we can see we've got this particular angle, which will allow us to spin the part on its axis in a segment of 22.5 degrees, so that's 45, moving on 90, while we keep our mouse in the circle. If we move outside the circle, we then get single degrees, so we can move it 1 degree at a time. And still keeping hold of the mouse button, if I just slide into the circle again, then I can bring it all up and make it flat. Okay, so in this particular instance I'm going to bring it to 90 degrees because that's how I'm going to be building. Now you'll sort of notice that the file's gone halfway between the plane. This is the working plane, the blue area. Okay, and if we want to work with the tile exactly flat on the grid, this up down arrow really just lifts up the part to whatever height we want. So when it gets to 0, which you can see at the bottom right hand corner there, and we let go, we've locked it onto that grid. And if we take a look underneath, we can see that it's locked to the grid. Now you might find yourself also moving your parts out of the way and you're trying to work on it and you can't see it. This little square box here will actually take the screen view straight up to that part, that area that you're working in. Rolling your mouse button rolls you out, rolling your mouse button moves you in. Right click and hold and just drag will rotate your view around the part. And again, just drag the part itself by holding and dragging. It will always stay flat on the blue plane that we're looking at. Okay, so I sort of suggest that you probably do your building flat on the ground, which is what I prefer, but that's entirely up to you. So if we drop that back to its 90 degrees, you can see it's in the air. If we then grab hold of the little top point again, we can see we're 14.4 millimeters from the floor, so we can bring that down until we get to 0. So we're back to where we started, 0. Okay, so now we're looking down on the part. Okay, so we'll just move that over to the far left. We'll zoom in on it. Okay, so those angles that we were talking about, this one which comes round 90 degrees in one direction on one axis, this one, if we slide round, has got the ability to slide that flat, so working left or right, and this particular one here in the other axis, so a sideways spin. Exactly the same applies. If I come outside the circle, I can move in 1 degree increments. If I come inside the circle, it starts to lock to the points. Okay, so we're exactly where we need to be. Okay, so duplicating or copying parts, click a part, press Ctrl and D, and you'll see the particular area highlighted yellow. What it's actually done is copy a part directly on top of that part. Okay, using the right arrow keys on the keyboard, I can move the part right in 1 millimeter increments. I can just keep sliding across. I actually know that these are absolutely lined up at the bottom and lined up at the top for all cases. So I'm just moving left and right. Similarly, if I move down, I'll come down a millimeter, up a millimeter, left a millimeter, etc. Okay, you can also manipulate parts in groups, so you don't have to just spin both of them. If you wanted to twist them both, you can click, drag around the two parts. You can either group them together so they become one object, which you can ungroup later, or while they're still selected, you can still slide around the part and you can manipulate both at once. Okay, so that's part 1 of the tutorial, just to get you used to moving the pieces around. Please follow part 2 soon.